Hi there, scrappers. This morning, actually, it's afternoon. I am going to do a quick process video on one of my layouts that I've made and shared on my Facebook page or group. And it's completely adorable. So I thought, oh, I'll share it with everybody on YouTube. So let's get started. First thing I always do is I create my 12 by 12 page kind of canvas so that I can visualize where I'm putting all of my images. So I just went to my shapes, I hit the square, and then I resized it to 12 by 12. And now I'm going to reduce my screen to just 50% so that I can see both layouts at the same, both pages at the same time. I'm going to go ahead and change the color to black. So I clicked on the image, go over to the circle by the image, and then my palette opens up, and I'm going to change both of my 12 by 12 squares to black. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is go look for my images. So over here on the left, I'm going to click my image button, and then I'm just simply going to start searching. I know I want to use the little astronaut that I just love. Isn't he a cutie? But I've been looking for a layout to use him in. So I thought this would be perfect. All right, so I'll need the moon. There's the moon. I need I love you to the moon. There's that. Stars and circles. There's a border that I really like. See if I can find that real quick. Stars. I might have to just look up stars. Nope, there it is. Okay, so a few things to know about when you go to look up images. If up in the upper left-hand corner you see this little green flag with the A, that means if you buy Cricut Access, either per month or per year or every 6 months, I forget which denominations you can buy it in, but I buy mine every year. That means you get this item, it's included in your Access membership. So down here it says subscribed and it doesn't cost me anything. If you go to the little I button for information, it'll tell you what cartridge that comes from. So that one's from Birthday Cakes. If you see an image you want to use and it doesn't have the A and you don't own it, then you'll see a dollar amount attached to that. And you can still use this image in your layout. It just means when you go to cut it out, before you can cut it out, you'll have to pay that 99 cents. So just a little explanation there. If it isn't an Access image, but you own it because you have the cartridge, I'm looking for one here real quick. I'm not seeing it right off the bat, but even though this is an Access one, I've purchased this cartridge already. I think it's Stand and Salute. Yeah, it is. Means I own that. So even if it wasn't part of my Access membership, I would still have access to this for free because I own that cartridge. So that's just a real quick explanation of what all those little symbols mean. All right, so I've got my astronaut, I've got my moon, I've got love you to the moon and back, and the stars. I need a rocket. So let's grab a rocket. And I just type the word in. I like this one. This one's real simple, though. I think I like this one better. This one or this one? I think I like this one. Okay. And then finally, I think we need, a telescope. Oh, and then we need some planets. All right, so a telescope. Now, the telescope was harder because there really isn't a telescope. Do you see one here behind my astronaut? And I mean, it's okay, but I'm going to use a different one. So I'm going to pick this one, even though it's like a, an eyeglass one that a pirate use. I'm going to use it, but I'm going to modify it a little bit. So I'll show you how I do that here in a minute. And then some planets. And this one I've purchased. Where is this from? This is from Superman, but I'm not going to use it because if I use that one, then a lot of people don't have the Superman cartridge. And so, you know, you would have to pay to print that, or I'm sorry, to cut that out. So I'm going to stick to this one since it's one that's included in Cricut Access. Okay, so there's my images that I'm going to use. I'm also going to use some shapes too, so we'll do that here in just a second. Move all of my images off my canvas. All right. Okay. I know I'm going to use a border down on the bottom here. But in order to use that border, I'm going to slice some things. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. I'm going to need a square and I'm going to need a star. So I'm going to pull this down further on my canvas so that you guys can get a better look at it. Move this up a little, move this here. All right, so I'm going to unlock my proportion button, and then I'm going to stretch this out to about 11.5 inches. And if I don't know where that is, I'll just make sure to type in the size that I'm going to use. And then I'm going to shrink it up to about 1.5 inches, and I'll do that here. I'll lock my proportion button. I'll put in 1.5. I'll unlock it. 11.5 back to my length. All right. So, do I like that? I don't like 0.5. Let's go 2.5. 11.25. That looks better. Okay, and then I'm going to make my length back to 11.5. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink my stars down. I'm going to turn it to white so I can see what I'm working with. And I am going to line up stars across my rectangle here for a border that I'm going to use. So that looks about like the size I want to use. Using the grid, I'll make it a little bigger. Using the grid on Design Space, I'm going to duplicate all of the stars and line them up so that they're all even. So there's my first one. I hit the duplicate button, and then I go up and I just real quick line it up. And I'll do about 12 of them. I think that'll be good. It's 3. And then what I can do is after I get 2 or 3 of them done, I can just select them all and duplicate them instead of doing one at a time. So I'm going to group them, and then I'm just going to duplicate. So there's 6, and there's 9. I might not be able to get 12 in. And there's 12. All right, I'm going to take one out. I'm going to ungroup and take one out. Let's see what this looks like. It looks pretty good. I'm going to shrink it just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to highlight or select all of my stars, except for this one's off just a titch. Okay. All right, I'm going to select all of my stars, and then I'm going to weld them together as one image. Now, they're just a little too big for this border, which is no problem because we're going to shrink it just a little. Make sure my proportion button's on and shrink it just a little. See how that works. That's good. Okay, so my stars are right on top of my border that I'm going to use, and I'm paying attention to the top and the bottom of the image that I'm going to slice my stars out of. All right, so now I have them lined up completely. And instead of cutting each and every one of these stars out and then gluing them on here, I'm going to slice them out of this rectangle. So it's just one solid piece. And then I'm going to change the color. And then I only have one image to glue down to my scrapbook layout, which to me saves a lot of time. All right, so I'm going to highlight it again or select it all again. And then once I do, you'll see the slice button toggle on. I'm going to hit slice, and then I can remove the pieces I don't want. So there we are. So this is one piece now, and the stars are sliced out of it, which is awesome. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to change it to navy blue, and I'm going to make 2 of them for both sides of my layout. Now I can get rid of these stars that I've sliced. And then I'm going to change my screen back to 50% so I can see it all at one time again. All right. Okay, I got a lot going on this screen, don't I? All right. So I like these to be down at the bottom of my layout. There's one. And here's the other. And they fit perfectly. And because they're only 11.5 inches long, my Cricut will cut them out at the same time, which is wonderful. It will not cut anything longer than 11.5 unless you have a 12 by 24 mat that you can use to be able to cut longer than an 11.5 inch image. But I'm going to keep it to 11.5 so I don't have to worry about switching out my mats. Okay, so there's the moon that I want to use for my layout. And then I love you to the moon and back. I just love the handwriting in that. And I'm just shrinking it down just a little bit so it fits in my moon really well. And then I'm going to change the color. First thing I'm going to do though is this little like starburst thing on the bottom of the moon. I don't like it so much, so I'm just going to hide that layer. And then I'm going to ungroup the moon and go to my contour button. And then I can hide those 3 little pieces that starburst would have hung on to. So now I have the moon, just the moon base that I like a lot better. So I'm going to move I love you to the moon and back, and I'm going to use my arrange button and put it on the front side of my moon. And then I'm going to change the color of it to black so that you can see it better. That's perfect. I just love it. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is work with my little astronaut guy. I have been wanting to use this little dude for such a long time, but I just couldn't figure out the perfect thing to use him for. So I'm so excited that I have this layout now because he just fits perfectly in it. Okay, so I'm going to change some colors to him. I don't like the orange on them so much. I'm going to change it all to blue. So let me get that done first. And I don't like the yellow. I'm going to change that to black. Nope, I'm going to change that to blue also. No, I might change it to gray. Let's see what it looks like as gray. Yeah, I like it better as gray. Now, since he's part of this title that says I love you to the moon and back, I thought it'd be really cute to add a heart to his astronaut suit. So I'm going over to my shapes. I pick the heart. I put it right on my little astronaut guy. Center him, make sure it's about the size I need. That's pretty big. Make sure he's about the size I want. I want to cover up those little gadgets or whatever on his space suit. So I'm making sure it's about the same size as that. That's good. And then I'm going to change it to red. And there's my little heart on my astronaut, which I think is adorable. Okay. Saturn and the planets, it can go up here in the corner, but I need to get it down just a little. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, now here's my telescope. Okay, even though it's an eyeglass, I think I'm gonna flip it horizontally. And then it has a lot of layers to it. So over here in my layers button, I'm gonna hide the skull and crossbones. And then I think I'm gonna change the colors to navy blue. Yeah, I like that. And red. Much better. Okay. Now the problem is that I need some legs for my telescope to stand on. So that's easy enough to create. We'll just go over to our shapes button. I'm going to pick the square again, bring it down so I can see it. I'm going to unlock the proportion button, and then I'm just going to squeeze this together and make like a tripod kind of leg. Okay, so that looks pretty good, and I'm going to duplicate it. And then I'm going to turn it and weld it together with the other one to give it the appearance of legs. So hold on and let me get that done. And then if we sit it right on top, there we go. It looks just like a telescope. All right, so I'm going to highlight it and then I'm going to weld it. And so there's my little legs for my telescope. You know what I've found is that all the SVG files that I buy and other things that I've used, I've come to find out that pretty much Cricut Design Space has almost everything I could need or use there for me. And if I can't find it, then I've been able to create it. And that is so nice. And it saves you money, but it also opens up some creativity that you just kind of just see things differently when you look at shapes and things to create other images. And it's actually a pretty fun process now. I love doing it. Okay, so I'm going to start looking at my photo mats here. I'm going to create probably 3 little places over here for my telescope and rocket. So I did a square and stretched it out, and I'm going to put my planets on top of it. Next thing I'm going to do is look for, nope, let's do some more squares. Nope, squares. So I'm going to create some small squares over here, maybe just 3-inch squares or smaller. 3. Let's see if 3 is too big. Yeah, 3 might be too big, so maybe 2.5. 2.5-inch squares. That's better. So I'm going to create 3 of those, but I'm going to change the colors so I don't lose them. So 2, 3, and then duplicate them. So here are the 3 little squares that I'm going to place some items on here in a second. So my rocket's going to go on the top here and looks like it's going to shoot at the moon. So it's behind everything. So I'm going to go to the Arrange button and bring it to the front. So there's that. The color of the rocket, I'm going to go ahead and change also to make it match the telescope and the other color scheme I have kind of going on. Okay, my telescope is behind everything, so I'm going to hit my Arrange button and bring it to the front, just like it did the other. And I'm going to make it a little smaller. Bring up my makeshift legs that I made for it. Bring that to the front and then make it smaller so it'll be in proportion. That looks good. Aw, that looks actually pretty cute. Okay. All right, that's looking cute. Okay, next thing I need to do, we'll wait on this to see where I'm going to use it. I need to make photo mats, maybe a couple of photo mats here. So go back to my shapes. I'm going to use a square and change it into a 6x4 photo mat. And I'm going to change it to white. And then I'm going to duplicate it and change another one and get another one there. So there's two. So that's pretty good. I like that a lot too. Let's see where I want to use these stars. I don't know if I want to use them there or not, if I use them at all. Let's push this up this way a little and this down a little. And maybe I can put these right in the middle. Okay, it's behind everything, so I'm going to arrange it to the front. All right. Then I'm going to change the color to black. All right. It's real subtle, but you'll be able to see it, so that's kind of nice. I'm going to make my planets a little bigger, I think. So we'll go back to a little bit bigger. There we go. That's cute. Okay. So now I need some photo mats over here, but I need some like stars, I've decided. So I'll go over to my shapes and just simply hit some stars. Should only hit one, but that's okay. I like the blue that's going on here, so I'm just going to change them all to blue. And if I would have just done one and duplicated the one after I changed it, would have been a lot quicker. But I've committed, so now I'm just going to do it manually. All right, so I'm going to put groups of 3. I just think things look better in groups of 3. It's not a rule, it's just I like the way it looks. Okay, here's 2. And the third one. And then that way I can work from when I want to duplicate some more stars. I have them already done. Okay. That looks pretty good. Yeah, isn't it a cute layout? It's adorable. I really like the way it looks. Okay. Let's go. Feels like I'm missing a little something. I'm gonna move this up just a little. And move this up a little so it doesn't look like it's missing something there. Because my planets need to go on the paper. There we go. Okay, now let's make some photo mats for over here. I'll just duplicate this one. That fits perfect. And then I'm going to hit my square and make a 4x6 one instead of 6x4. Unlock my proportion, 6, not 46, but 6. There's my 4x6. I'm going to change that to white. And then I'm going to duplicate some stars to put down around here. Now my border down here is cut out in navy blue stars. It's very subtle, but it's very, very cool. So I like the way that turned out a lot. And if I was going to cut this out right now, I would probably chalk up some of my photo mats just to give them some depth. And I probably would chalk them up in, or ink them up in black just to give it some extra depth. Okay, that looks pretty good. It was real quick. At this point, what I do is I always go up to my save button, and you'll see here where it says public, which means that I can save this as a link and then share it with all of you. So all I would hit is, you know, whatever I want to name it. So love you, Moon. And then this is for the YouTube people. And then I hit save. And up in the address bar here would be the link that I'd copy and paste so that you all could just click on the link and you would be able to have access to this layout. And when you click on the link, if you're on a laptop or a desktop, it opens it up just like this in Design Space, and you'd be able to hit make it and make the layout yourself without having to do any of the work. So, all right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm probably going to put up a Mickey Mouse one here in a little bit too, just to get a couple of videos up so that you guys can see the process that I go through just to create some layouts in Design Space. But please make sure to subscribe and like my video if it was helpful. And if you want, you can always find me on Facebook under Cricut Design Space Scrapbooking Layouts and join our group. And you can follow me on Pinterest too. I'm working on my Instagram account and that'll be coming soon. So I hope you're enjoying your 3-day weekend. I know I am. Happy scrapping, everyone. Bye.